So let's see what all the hype is about. I'm just going to put my foot down and just hope to be surprised. So have you ever eaten at a restaurant and upon your first experience there, you end up getting food poisoning? Now, although that situation isn't ideal, it definitely does leave a sour taste in your mouth. And anytime somebody tries to bring up the name of that restaurant, you instantly reject it. Like, nope, I'm not going back there again. That's what this car is to me. The 2020 Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. Now, I can't say the bitter taste pertains to this specific car, but it's more along the line of the brand. And let me explain why. So in around 2003, my father came home, his face was lit up and he was so excited. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, I just bought a new car. I was like, great, what did you get? And it's like an Alfa Romeo 156. It was the 2-liter with the twin spark and the whole 7-speed transmission. And he had that look on his face like he just won the lottery. You could tell that he just checked off an item from his bucket list. And I was like, what's the hype with this car? And he's like, son, anyone that has taste and sophistication and wants a purest sports car, they go for Alfa Romeos. Forget the German rivals. It's all about Alfa. And you're not a petrolhead until you've owned an Alfa Romeo. So I was like, all right, let's see what all this hype is about. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't really put my father's theory to the test because that car spent more time in the garage being fixed than we got to enjoy it on the road and see what the brand is all about. This is why I relate it to getting food poisoning from a restaurant, because since then, Alfa Romeo to me has just been a brand to stay away from until now. This Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, which I'm going to call QF moving forward because it's just easier. But this QF is so praised amongst car enthusiasts, and the reviews that I've been seeing online throughout the years have just made me really curious. How far has this brand come? Now, I sadly didn't get to drive this car at the Dubai Autodrome when they were offering it for anyone that wanted to drive it on track. But I did hang around the pits and I waited for my friends to come back. And when they got back to pits, I was like, so how was it? And almost every single one of them had the same reaction with their face lit up and thumbs up. And they're like, dude, this car is phenomenal. You have to try it. So it took me a bit of time to get my hands on one, but finally getting my chance with this car, a few days of quality time to drive it around the city of Dubai and see what it's like on the road. Unfortunately, I'm not able to try it out on track, but I do want to see what the livability of this Italian sports sedan is like around town. And to be completely honest, in most of these reviews that I do, I drive the car around for a day or two and I try to get to know the car and just see what it feels like. And I take notes and I try to report that back to you. With this car, I have to admit, within the first hour of driving it, I knew I was driving something very special. It didn't feel like an Alfa Romeo. It felt German. Yes, it has its Italian quirks here and there, which we'll touch on, but it feels very well put together. It's extremely responsive. The handling is just phenomenal. The way that they've got the torque vectoring working with the electronic limited slip differential to give you almost an all-wheel steering feel of handling, even though this is not an all-wheel steering car. But it's so responsive. It goes in the direction that you point it, and it does it so effortlessly that you know that they've really got some pros behind designing this car. Obviously, it has Ferrari's influence on the way this car was built. But with the handling comes this masterpiece of an engine. It's a V6 2.9 liter twin turbo that puts out 510 horsepower and 600 Newton meters of torque, which catapults this car from 0 in 3.8 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour. It's quite impressive. Yes, there are faster cars out there, but I doubt they have the emotion that this car has, the practicality of it. You can live with this car daily. It's got plenty of storage space, glove compartment. I've got the armrest right here, the door cards that fit bottles of water, even with a little notch that your water bottle clips into so it doesn't bounce around the car when you're driving like a hooligan. It's a very well thought out car. The back seats fit 2 adults comfortably. I don't know about a third one, maybe a child in the middle, but it's definitely a car that you can live with daily. The transmission is another delight in this car. It's an 8-speed ZF transmission. It dawdles along town so beautifully, smooth as butter. Getting off the line, you've got enough grunts, high-speed driving on the 8th gear, RPMs are low, it's quiet, there's no cabin noise. One of the things that I absolutely love are these paddle shifters. They have this beautiful, soft, subtle clink to it. It's just, it feels so nice. I don't know if that's coming across on camera, but they feel very high quality and the car's quite well made. With these materials, you've got your leather on the dashboard, carbon fiber everywhere. Even these seats are carbon fiber, lightweight, and they're super comfortable as well. I've been driving this car for 2-3 days now and I don't feel uncomfortable in it. It feels quite nice. The throttle is super responsive. It gives you back as much as you give it and more actually. Even cruising on the highway and you just probably want to overtake a car, you don't have to put your foot down or fight the accelerator. You just ease some pressure into it and you feel the turbo spool up and it just catapults you forward so elegantly and quietly. It really does feel special. It has nothing in common with the 156 of yesterday. The exhaust note is another thing which is a delight, because when you want to drive this car in a civilized manner on a daily basis, you don't hear the exhaust. It's just humming along and purring along nicely, but it comes to life at higher RPMs, especially on gear changes. You get a bit of a snappy, throaty, you know that sound when people clear their throat, it's just like a little sound. Excuse the bad representation of what the exhaust sounds like. I can't capture it, but hopefully the camera will. They've put some technology into this car as well. In terms of the driver assist programs between the lane keep assist, you've got the blind spot detection warnings, active cruise control, active braking as well, and a semi-autonomous driving assistance. Makes you feel that the car really is up to date. They've also included various driving modes. So you have the advanced efficiency, which shuts down one bank of the cylinders, so you essentially be running on 3 cylinders. And you have the normal, which is I believe called the natural mode. You have the dynamic mode, and the really fun one, the race mode. Firms up the suspension, car comes to life, tighter steering, sharper throttle response, and the transmission goes into full attack mode. So that's, oh wow. There's a hooligan. Oh my god, this thing's good. Wow. Gets your heart racing. I see why enthusiasts love this car. Steering's nice and responsive, feels planted. I've got great feedback from the road through these dampers. You feel the torque vectoring and the electronic limited slip really working with you to give you an all-wheel steering like responsiveness around corners. It turns better than, dare I say it, my 911 Turbo. It's so good. they've really made this a driver-focused car that inspires confidence when you drive it around. And I'm only in the city right now, I'm not even on track. Let's just... You know, it's no wonder that Jeremy Clarkson, after reviewing this car himself, actually went out and bought one. So now that I've had a moment to calm down, slow the heart rate, woosah, let's get into some of the nuances of this car. Firstly is the steering wheel. Girth-wise, feels great on the sides where predominantly your hands are going to be most of the time. But the top in Alcantara is just oddly thin. It doesn't feel like it matches the rest of the steering wheel. In a car this powerful as well, you want to keep your eye on the speed limits because it's very easy to, and effortless, to go over the speed limit. So I want a speedometer in the center dash that I can keep my eye on. Unfortunately, they found the date to be a bit more important and they put the speedometer at the top and quite small. Now, you can get the large speedometer in the middle, but you're going to have to be in race mode for that. In terms of the technology, the screen itself is fine. It's an 8.8 inch, has the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all of that. But for some reason, the reverse camera resolution is mediocre at best. The seating is another thing, not the feel of it. The feel is great. It's the controls. So for some reason, to move the seat forward and back, you have a manual lever right here. But to move the seat up and down, you have a controller on your left, which is electronically assisted. So I don't know why there's a mix of electronic and manual control over the seat adjustments. The doors as well, the front doors, for some reason don't close like the back doors do. When you're outside and you want to put something in the car, you kind of like give the door a bit of a swing and it just stops halfway through its swing. I don't know why it doesn't close all the way. It's a bit annoying. And lastly is the fuel economy of this car. Yeah, you don't buy a sports sedan with fuel economy at the top of your list, but that being said, it's averaging around 16 liters per 100 kilometers. It's pretty thirsty. So that pretty much sums up what this car is like on a daily basis. Again, hopefully I'll have another experience with this car on the track, which is when I'm sure I'm going to fall in love with it even more. But around town, it's just been such a delight. It has an emotional connection, which I think is one of the most important aspects of any car, is that you feel emotionally connected to the car. And this thing, again, from the first hour that I drove it, gave me that connection. So I will sign off on one thing that my father told me a long time ago. Is like, son, don't invest in any car that you don't feel a certain magic to it. That you don't, it doesn't call you and tell you, buy me. This car has that magic. By God, does it have that magic. It just constantly puts a smile on your face. And if you're watching this video hoping to receive a bit of conviction of, do I buy this car? Do I not buy this car? Don't even think twice. As soon as you get done watching this, call up your Alfa Romeo dealer and place an order because you are going to love it. It is as good as they say. And I do have a confession. I heard so much about this car in the past. Everyone praising it, talking about how good it is. And I secretly wanted to get in this car and prove everyone wrong and be like, no, it's trash. It's not good. Don't believe the hype. But no, believe the hype and then some. So on that note, I want to thank you so much for watching. As always, hope you enjoyed the video, and until the next one, take care.